Monday, March 5th, 2012. It is 6:07 and we're ready to begin. We have a quorum tonight. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 6th?
Motion to approve minutes. Second.
Any changes, corrections? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next on our item, our agenda item is Senator Jeff Schoenberg, who we're thrilled is here to join us tonight. And he's going to tell us some wonderful things. Welcome, Senator Schoenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Rules Committee and my friends and neighbors who are observing in the audience. Tonight is the last time that I'll be making this presentation for for 19 of the last 21 years. I've had the honor of representing Evanston at the state capitol, first in the House of Representatives, and the last 9 years in the Senate, and now with less than a year to go in my final year of public office, I wanted to first open up my remarks by saying what an extraordinary honor it's been to serve with all of you who have also taken up the challenge of public service for our community, and to let all my friends and neighbors in Evanston know that that there's a specific reason why Evanston has always been the heart of my labors at the state capitol. It's where my wife and I bought our first home. It's where we're raising our children and sending them to Evanston's public schools. We're strongly invested in this community, and we know firsthand how unique it is, all that it has to offer, all the challenges that it brings, and I look forward to continuing to be an active presence in the community in the future, though it'll probably be during citizen comment. I'd like to, so thank you all again. Since I indicated publicly a few months ago that I was not going to be seeking another term after 22 years of representing our community at the state capitol, the response has been very heartening from all of you, from the constituents who you serve, and I think that there is really in this community a great appreciation for public service, although I'm sure as members of the City Council you question how much love you can handle in a week. Nonetheless, being able to serve this community really has provided me with a unique and memorable experience, and one that I'll always cherish. It's with that great sense of optimism and humility that I'll now tell you where we stand at the state capitol, which is sobering at best. As you know, the governor recently provided his budget address to the legislature. He anticipates additional revenues of just over $700 million. In short, our revenue growth is a result of modest increase in the state's economy through income and sales taxes. Much of that increase, however, has been offset by a reduction in the amount of money that we're receiving from the federal government. So we're faced with a challenge of a state budget that's just in general funds, just under Governor is projecting $33.94 billion worth of receipts for the general fund, which is $719 million over next year, and his introduced budget leaves a $162 million balance to try to pay off a portion of the state's outstanding bills, which now total in excess of $8 billion. I will tell you that I anticipate that both the House and the Senate will come in at revenue figures at a lower threshold. I would expect that the legislature, the governor has proposed some spending additions from the past fiscal year, and I anticipate that the legislature will ultimately come in at a lower mark, which means we're looking at another significant round of potential budget cuts in a number of key areas which impact basic core services for communities around the state. What is unique about this upcoming fiscal year as opposed to what we've encountered in this past year has been that we have to make an additional $950 million payment into the state pensions above what we paid last year. The good news there is that it's being paid in full. There's no borrowing associated with making that legally required pension payment, but it does indeed crowd out our ability to fund some of our most critical purposes in areas like education, healthcare and human services, and public safety. Moreover, because of the current economic situation, not surprisingly, there are more people accessing healthcare and human services who do not have private insurance, and consequently, the spending pressures from Medicaid continue to drive upward as well. My former colleague, currently the director of the Department of Healthcare and Family Services, Julie Hamos, has indicated that the governor has tasked her with reducing Medicaid spending by $2.7 billion. That's going to be a formidable challenge without directly addressing eligibility questions. That pretty much provides you with a template of the budget parameters that we're going to be working within. My prediction is that Governor Quinn's proposed spending increases will indeed receive some pushback from the legislature, and I think another round of reductions are necessary and likely while we're going to be attempting to pay off some of the outstanding bills without using debt to do so, which I think is another necessary factor that we have to take into account. So what does that mean for Evanston and its local government? In the past, there was a great deal of discussion last budget year about the local potential reductions in the local government distribution fund. Those drumbeats have been muffled at best, and I attribute that to the fact that suburban mayors have aligned themselves with the new mayor of the city of Chicago, who's weighed in opposition to that. So I don't see that that's going to be confronting us in the months ahead. I could be wrong, but there has not been the same to date, there's not been the same buildup as there was before. As far as our ability to stay on task in a timely manner with the state's infrastructure program, one of, as you know, I've publicly promised that I would never stop being your senator until we got our viaducts. So I can take that off my bucket list now. And we're all on track with that. Some of the revenues in support of the capital program are lagging as video gaming still is not fully operational, and over $400 million had been counted on in order to support those bonds. What I can tell, one thing that I'm doing to address that problem is that I'm the sponsor of legislation that would put the Powerball online, and those online lottery games would in fact, those online lottery games do in fact provide funding for the capital program. So the street work, the storm water revolving loan fund, the viaducts, all of those continue to pretty much be on track with respect to not just Evanston, but other suburban communities too in our area. I want to point to another legislative initiative that I have in accommodating the council's request as your concierge and voice in the Illinois Senate on the issue of there's legislation currently pending that would provide clarity on the ability of township residents to vote in a binding manner to terminate township government. I have introduced that legislation at the city's request, but I want to reiterate what I've said publicly, which is I have no expectation that that legislation will become law. It's not a reflection on the extent to which I'm committed, but rather the township officials of Illinois have already pledged their full opposition to the legislation. And on this issue, while we may feel that we are in the right, the prospects for passage of this legislation are rather minimal at best. So anybody who was, so I wanted to recalibrate some expectations on that, if in the event that you didn't think, in the event that you were thinking that this was going to provide a way out on it. Now I'll tell you my view on the issue. I support I support the referendum that's before the voters on the March 20 ballot, and I think that on March 21st, we as a community are going to have to decide the next best course of action to take. Evanston is in a very unique situation in that our boundaries are coterminous with the township, and as such, I do think that it's very realistic that we could successfully transfer the key functions from the township to the municipality. And to me, what has really brought this, what's really shined a different light on this issue is that recognizing that we have limited resources in the community to provide as best we can for all the city's residents, we at the same time that we're seeking the advice of the community on what to do about township government. We're also seeking the guidance from the community on whether to begin investing more in the school's infrastructure. I think that's a larger issue than has been publicly discussed to date. I live around the corner from Willard School. I think Willard is one of the newer buildings in town. There's an addition that has gone on to it, but we have very pressing capital needs in all the K through 8 schools, and the high school is suffering from the severe results of deferred maintenance too. So with limited resources in the community, I think that the two issues are really closely related. Where are we going to invest so as to get the best return for all of our residents, particularly those who are in need? And there are more of them in our community than there have been in a number of years. So it's my hope, coming out of these ballot questions, and acknowledging that there's not going to be any change in the legislation at the Capitol, that we all too often silo our various interests in government. We do it less so here in Evanston because we don't have an independent park district. Doug Gaynor and his team do a phenomenal job with the resources that are available. But he's at a he and all of us in Evanston are at a distinct disadvantage compared to other communities that have their own lines on the tax bill, which would have made it possible, when the economy was doing better, to bring in more revenues to address some of the capital needs that we might have in that area. So we need to think about how the various forms of government locally complement each other better. It's a series of choices which at times leads to harsh disagreement. I think those disagreements are, I think that debate is a healthy one. But the state, and I would dare say the local revenue picture, is not going to change that dramatically in the years ahead. I chair the Commission on Government Forecasting and Accountability for the legislature, where we get independent economic projections on revenue trends, the health of the bond market, tracking the state's health insurance situation. The state's economy and revenues are not going to swing upward in a dramatic fashion. At best, we're going to see over the next 3-4 years very modest upward increases, which means we're going to continue to have to find ways to squeeze every last cent of efficiency out of what we do, and do so at a time when there are going to be more and more people calling upon our help, because the employment situation remains very challenging. So I offer that to you as a talking point in the discussion ahead over the next several months, as we try to sort our way through these issues and work towards the common goal of ensuring that Evanston residents have the highest quality of life possible from the very beginning, when babies are brought home from Evanston or St. Francis Hospital to the latter golden stages of their lives. I've given my heart and soul to this community for nearly 22 years to try to help tackle some of the toughest issues that our community has faced, and I couldn't pick a better set of allies than I've had in the members of the Evanston City Council and with Mayor Tisdale and with Mayor Morton before her. It's with that, I just want to say one last time, thank you for this wonderful privilege. I'd like to now answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Schoenberg, I just want to thank you for your years of service, not just to Evanston, the city of Evanston, but to the entire district that you've represented so well for so long. And it's been, I got to say, good for Evanston to have allies in Springfield, and we certainly counted you among them. And you've done good work, really good work, and not just for Evanston, but for everyone whom you represent. So thank you for your service, and we'll all be curious to see what you make of the rest of your life. Good luck with your next adventure.
Well, my next, thank you. My next adventure is already 6 years in the making, so I need more time to do that work around the country. And thank you again for the compliment.
Alderman Burris?
Going to echo that, which we're probably going to get a whole line down here of echoing that. Thank you for everything. And the last couple of years also with the Evanston Day, you've made a lot of connections for us. And as Alderman Grover was saying, not just for your district, but really for the state on pushing the progressive agenda. So thank you. And I know the next chapter, I'm sure, will be exciting as well.
Mayor Tisdale.
Thank you. Jeff, occasionally I get to speak for the whole city, and I don't take that prerogative very often, but on behalf of the entire city of Evanston, I would like to say thank you. You have been a fabulous representative, and everyone else can talk about what you've done for the entire state of Illinois. Being the mayor of Evanston, I would like to talk about 3 viaducts. You promised that you would not retire until we had all our viaducts that had been promised years ago, and I didn't think you should retire just because we got the viaducts. But I do thank you for the viaducts on behalf of everyone in the city of Evanston and for years of great representation. You've been absolutely fabulous. Thank you.
Alderman Tindem.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator, for all of your work in the past. I know it's been extensive, but I hope your presence is still strong, and I'm sure it will be here in Evanston. I've had bragging rights for the last couple of years of having both my senator and my representative in the 6th Ward near where I live. I'll be losing one of those bragging rights, but I hope that I see you about in the 6th Ward as well as the rest of the city. Your progressive ideas, as the mayor says, are very valuable and very much part of Evanston. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Nguyen.
Senator Schoenberg, thank you very much for all of your service. You may not remember it, but the first time we ever had lunch when our part of the city became part of your jurisdiction, we talked about viaducts. And it's more than 3, it's 4 that you've actually brought us. And I never thought that magic trick could happen, but clearly you know how to make those things happen. So Evanston will be forever grateful for that, because they will probably last for a very long time, but for all of your service and for all of your hard work. You've been a wonderful example of public service for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It'll be a challenge for your successor. Okay, next we have a presentation by the Commission on Aging. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Audrey Thompson, the Long-Term Care Ombudsman for the City of Evanston. Mayor Tisdall, Madam Chair, and to all of the members of the Rules Committee, thank you so much for allowing the Commission on Aging to present its 2012 work plan. Susan Churko, who is our newly appointed chairperson, is here to present that plan tonight. She has been a member of the Commission on Aging for about 6 years. During that time, she's been the chair for the Disability Committee and also the Long-Term Care Committee. So at this time, Susan Churko.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, and City Manager. As chairperson, I'm here to represent the Commission on Aging and to present our 2012 work plan, to answer any questions that you might have regarding that plan. I did want to just briefly acknowledge two members of the Commission who have come here tonight, Sue Cantor and Wayne Heimbach, and thank you for coming. Along with our work plan, we included a list of the Commission accomplishments from the years 2010-2011, and I would just like to briefly mention some past highlights that focus on our educational outreach and the Volunteer Ombudsman Program. The Commission strives to educate and advocate for seniors in Evanston. However, much of our focus has been to reach out to the residents of the long-term care facilities and our senior buildings. Commission members feel very strongly that we need to bring awareness of the Commission and information to seniors who are either unable or have very limited ability to attend presentations in the community. We have sponsored last year 7 educational events. 3 of those took place at the Levy Center, 2 at Fleetwood Jourdain Community Center, and 1 at the Perlman Apartments and 1 at Jacob Blake Manor. Audrey Thompson presented a program called Take Charge of Your Health at Fleetwood Jourdain Community Center in September and Jacob Blake Manor in November. This is a 6-week program funded by Age Options on managing chronic illness. 17 participants successfully completed the September program, and that was a record for Age Options. 13 participants successfully completed the November program. In October, we had a presentation given at the Levy Center called Understand Today's Hospital Experience. We had attendance of 85 seniors and professionals. This was a free educational event to really inform attendees on the role of a hospitalist, the purpose and structure, function of discharge planning, and the benefits of palliative and hospice care. Our speakers from Evanston Hospital donated their time to make the event possible, and the evaluations were overwhelmingly positive. The Commission also very actively supports our Volunteer Ombudsman Program and Audrey's efforts to recruit and train our volunteers. Evanston has 11 nursing facilities, and the goal of this program is to recruit and train enough volunteers so that we have 1 for each facility. Audrey has conducted 3 ombudsman's trainings since October of 2010, and currently we have 6 trained and actively working volunteer ombudsmen assigned to the various nursing facilities. We have a 7th volunteer who is in training and ready to start this month. So many of our volunteers are either present or past Commission members. Moving on to our 2012 work plan, the procedure to develop a work plan was put into place in June 2011 when the Commission undertook the task of reviewing its goals to reflect the true purpose and responsibility of the Commission. These goals were approved by the Commission in our February 2012 meeting. In March 2010, the Departments of Park, Recreation, and Forestry and Recreation was restructured to include community services, and as a result, the department was renamed Parks, Recreation, and Community Services. All senior services were relocated from the Civic Center to the Levy Senior Center, including the responsibility of staffing the Commission on Aging. These changes were the catalyst for the development of the Commission on Aging work plan, which is designed to reflect those changes. The Commission discussed their goals and developed a list of priorities. With input from Commission and staff, 5 goals were chosen, and a work plan was developed to accomplish those goals. At that point, I believe that you have a listing of those goals, and I would be pleased to take any questions that anyone has in regards to the goals and their implementation.
Alderman Rainey.
Thank you very much for your service. I have a question. When I was reading through the various overall objectives, reading about site visits to 4 of the 11 long-term care facilities in Evanston, I was thinking, well, when they get there and they find issues, what do they do about that? And then I noted that you report problems or concerns that you see to the long-term care ombudsman. Then what happens?
Well, the ombudsman has, at that point, would investigate the issue. So, in order to act on any issue that comes up, Audrey, as our ombudsman, has to have permission from the resident to move forward, unless it's a systemic problem. In which case, but it would really what we would see as a problem would initiate an investigation. The results of that investigation would come about based on the powers and limitations that the Ombudsman's program has. I mean,
what are they? I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
I mean, I remember back in the day when we actually could impose sanctions, but I know that is no longer, the state now does the inspections. Is that
I'm going to
correct?
defer that question to
And I'm assuming
Audrey,
that I'm assuming that the group that would be reviewing an individual home would not be talking specifically about a problem an individual person would have, but maybe things that they see. For example, they see bugs. For example, they see just a general deterioration of care, something like that.
Sure. When those problems or concerns are reported to the Ombudsman program, at that time we make a visit to the resident. And if the resident has a particular issue...
No, I'm not talking about a resident complaint. Mm-hmm.
If it's a systemic problem, such as bugs, we report to the Department of Public Health. They have the jurisdiction to fine the facility if there are concerns of that magnitude.
And that's the Illinois Department of Public
Sure.
Health, not the City of Evanston.
Not the city,
Department.
the Illinois Department of Public Health.
And have you ever had an experience of having to report a matter to some agency beyond the City of Evanston?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell us how that plays out? And
well, most times the Department of Public Health has just a couple of days to respond, and they come to the facility and do an investigation depending on what type of concern. If it's about care relative to abuse, then they come 24, 48 hours, depending on what type of abuse. In that case, They do a full investigation, and if the investigation proves to be true, whatever the concern was, then they do cite them, and then they have to pay. We also work with the police department. So sometimes there are issues systemically regarding financial abuse of several different residents, and so we have to work with the Evanston Police Department in order to work through that issue and even bring others to justice.
Thanks.
Any other questions? I have a question. You referred to 11, I'm sorry. Oops, Mayor Tisdall.
Go ahead, Judy.
Okay. You referred to 11 nursing facilities in Evanston. Is that both long-term care and that includes assisted living as well?
These would be the skilled facilities, so they would be it would not include the assisted living facilities.
Okay.
Okay. So these are the facilities that are licensed as skilled facilities.
Okay. Mayor Tisdall.
I just wanted to congratulate you on choosing 5 goals instead of 500, which is the mistake most groups make. So thank you very much for coming up with manageable goals. I believe you'll succeed.
Well, thank you very much. We have very good staff to advise us here. So thank you.
We have one more question from Alderman Rainey.
I'm sorry.
Just to clarify, the 11 long-term care facilities are not necessarily all senior-related. They're long-term care for whoever needs them.
Yeah, so it would include those that take, for disabilities as well as seniors. So
Right.
Albany Care and Greenwood Care would be included.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Next on our agenda is a resolution supporting the WMC 2012 legislative program. I believe, Mr. City Manager, you're going to tell us about this.
Yes, although you have the co-chair of the Northwest Municipal Conference Legislative Committee among you and Mayor Tisdall. I don't know if the mayor would like to make some initial comments.
My initial comment is I left all my papers in my office. I'm sorry I was so late coming.
Then maybe I can fill in a couple details. With what you have before you is the adopted legislative program of the conference for 2012. It is consistent with positions from previous years. Matt Swinkowski, our Intergovernmental Affairs Coordinator, is here, who could speak along with Mayor Tisdall to any of the particulars. We're asking the committee this evening to review that program, and if you concur, to forward Resolution 19R12 to the full City Council for its consideration.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
So we're looking to move this to council for approval.
That's correct.
Right. I'll move this to council for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, well, that was short and sweet.
And Madam Chair, before we leave the item, just as a reminder, Evanston Day in Springfield is Wednesday of this week. I believe we have a full bus at this point going down, so what, about 50 some odd?
We have 49 people.
49, that's close to 50 some odd then.
And the driver.
And the driver, and a few folks going down early for some events tomorrow. Mayor Tisdall, myself, Alderman Grover, Alderman Burris are heading down tomorrow to attend some events tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. So we're looking forward to another successful day in Springfield, and we'll have all that to bring back to you at a future meeting.
Thank you very much. And now we're on to new business. Alderman Rainey.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Perhaps you're familiar with this situation, but I was not. We have dog licensing. I'm going to speak about dog licensing, dog park, and Dog Beach, and make a referral to the Human Services Committee. But I want to explain myself first, because I'm not going to be at the Human Services. I have a constituent who today went to the collector's office to purchase a dog license with all her proper paperwork. Everything went very smoothly. She said they were very courteous. She said, okay, now that I have my dog license, I would like to purchase a permit for the dog park. Oh, can't do that here, she says. You have, this is a true story, by the way, you have to now go to Robert Crown to buy your pass for the dog park. She said, oh, okay, well, I have to pick up my kid at school. I can't. Well, okay, then just let me get my dog beach permit here. You can't do that here either. You have to go to Parks and Recreation for that. She said, you're joking. And she said, no. So if you have a dog and you want to have your dog participate in the community activities provided for him or her, you have to go to 3 different desks in order to make those purchases. Here, in addition to that, the license is an affordable license. It's $10, I think, and if you have a dog that's not spayed, it's $15 or something. But in order to take your doggie to the dog park and to the dog beach, it's over $100. Human Services needs to take this issue, and I am hereby referring it to another standing committee, and fix this. There is absolutely no reason why when you go to that collector and you buy that dog license and you have all your documentation for your dog, that you cannot also pay for those other options. And I think we also need to take a look at the cost, because this person is employed, family's employed, but that's a lot of money for a dog to spend on the dog in addition to taking care of their other rights. She said to me, you know, I can go to my vet and buy a pet-friendly neighborhood tag. The vet is in Evanston, by the way, for the city of Chicago, and take my dog for $5 to any pet-friendly location, any dog park, to any dog beach, to anything dog-related in the city of Chicago. That's way too cheap. We'll never do that. And so the option she feels that she has is, why do this? I'm going to go buy the $5 tag. And I think she wouldn't have that thought if she could have done everything at the one station. Also, in the city of Chicago, you can purchase your dog license from a vet, I believe. We just make it very complicated for people. And so I would like the Human Services Committee to address this issue, try to get everybody at one desk paying one amount. Secondly, I have a referral to the Parking Committee. I know it's not a standing committee, so I'll need a vote for this. But I was in a community recently where residents are allowed, and there are more meters in this town than we will ever have in our town. Everything, you have to pay to park every place. You have to pay to park no matter where you go, in front of a school, in front of a park, you've got to pay to park. They have a provision in this town that if you buy a city sticker, you can also at the same time pay $100 for an additional sticker that allows you to never pay for parking for a year. It avoids trying to collect parking tickets. It avoids having to pay parking tickets. It avoids having to have quarters with you. It avoids having to walk down the block to use the pay station. I think we ought to consider that. When you look at the UO software on the internal website and you see the outstanding parking tickets, I suspect we could actually make money selling these stickers. And I don't know what the right price is. I just know that if there's a meter or if there is any kind of restriction for parking requiring payment, you can park your car there. You can't park where there's monthly permits, but you can park any place else for a whole year for $100.
Alderman
And
Burris.
people love it.
Yeah, so Alderman Nguyen and I are both like jumping out of our seats here.
Alderman Burns has had this idea and presented it to the Parking and
3 years
She
ago.
never told me.
Well, it's been I guess maybe 2.5 years ago, presented it in Parking Committee because it was an idea I brought actually from California. And we've talked a lot about it. Now that we have the, or will have the license recognition software, it'll be easier to do. And we have Ricky Voss looking at how much is the right cost for here. And then it would just be associated with your license plate. So you could then pay whatever fee, and then you would park at a meter and not have to put money in a meter or go down to the box. So we are working on it. It's just
Yes,
been-
thank you,
it-
Alderman Burris.
It
Alderman
works.
Burris was
It really
thinking
works.
ahead of our technology.
Yes.
And so we discussed this and we, at Parking and Transportation, and we did not have the correct technology, but now we do. So the issue was, how do you calculate what's the right amount?
Well, this town has no technology.
Well,
So they have a sticker. They have a sticker, and that's what entitles you to park.
all right.
You
Well, they
pay
may
the
have
man, you
a,
get
Alderman
the
Rainey, maybe
sticker.
they have a good algorithm. So maybe we'll just need to find the algorithm from them.
We are working on it, really.
Let's stop working and start doing. Okay, it's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, then we're going to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn? And we're going on to executive session. And someone
Mayor will
needs to
need call
read.
the